We begin today in Texas, where residents are mourning the loss of loved ones after tragedy struck. On Sunday, a gunman opened fire in a small town church just outside of San Antonio during morning services, leaving 26 people dead and several others injured. Texas Governor Greg Abbott is calling this the deadliest mass shooting in the state's history. For more on this tragic event, we have team coverage with Natasha Sweatte on the ground in Texas, Trinity Chavez in New York, and David Miller in the D.C. newsroom. Let's start with RT correspondent Natasha Sweatte, who is on the scene with the latest. Natasha?
Well, Ashlee, residents here are absolutely heartbroken after this terrible tragedy took the lives of innocent people, both young and old. Just to give you a perspective, this is a very small town. There's only some 700 people that live here, and we're about 30 miles east of San Antonio. And so just walking around, speaking with people, you can only imagine the sadness that is being felt all throughout the air. And probably one of the biggest turns of events that happened today was a motive of the shooter, a possible motive. It's found out that he's had violence against his wife and child in the past, and now we're learning it's his mother-in-law that attended the church behind me where he opened fire on Sunday. And now officials are saying that mother-in-law has received threatening text messages from Devin Kelley. They believe it's the one reason he could have carried out yesterday's horrific massacre, killing 26 people.
We don't have all the information. There are several that obviously their children, their exact ages. Yesterday, we released information that the ages ranged from 5 to 73. Those were the ones being treated at the hospital. Inside the church, the deceased actually range from 18 months to 77 years of age.
Well, as you just heard, we learned that the victims range in age, the youngest 18 months old. Well, the victims also include the pastor's 14-year-old daughter, and the pastor and his wife were out of town in Oklahoma during the time of the shooting. But something else getting a lot of attention was the resident who engaged with the suspect. Well, he's actually was able to get the rifle out of the suspect's hand, and while Kelley managed to get back into his car parked at a gas station across the way, the residents, along with this man, Johnny Langendorf, followed Kelley. Kelley crashed his car, and the two men immediately got out of the car. The armed resident confronted the suspect until authorities arrived, while the driver kept the area clear.
I hope that the families and everyone affected this community, I hope they're able to sleep a little better at night knowing that this man is dead and won't hurt anyone else. It does not bring complete justice, but it does bring a conclusion to ever having to worry about him again.
Now, Ashlee, normally these sermons at First Baptist Church are recorded every Sunday, and then they're later put up on YouTube. And so authorities have confirmed today that they indeed have a video that they have been looking over as evidence. Ashlee?
Natasha, this is obviously such tragic news. We understand, according to federal law, Kelley should not have been able to legally purchase a firearm after being discharged. So what are the authorities saying about this?
Yeah, that's right, Ashlee. It's a lot of a turn of events today, especially what you just mentioned. Now, as far as we know, that he did acquire all of those firearms legally. Since he's been discharged, he's purchased one firearm each year. So he has a total of 4 since then, 2 he acquired in Colorado, 2 here in Texas. But interestingly enough, he doesn't have a license to carry here in Texas. And so authorities have been looking over the paperwork, and as far as they see that he did buy those firearms legally, so no word if he lied on those applications. As far as we know right now, no red flags were raised, so still a lot to come in this investigation. Ashlee?
Natasha, thank you so much for keeping us updated. That's Natasha Sweatte on the ground in Sutherland Springs, Texas. Now, Trinity, to you, as this investigation unfolds, we are learning more and more about the shooter. So at this point, what do we know about the suspect?
Good evening, Ashlee. We are learning that 26-year-old Devin Patrick Kelley had a troubling past. He served in the U.S. Air Force in logistics readiness at the Holloman Air Force Base in New Mexico from 2010 to 2014. But in 2012, he was court-martialed after being accused of assaulting his wife and child. He spent a year in solitary confinement and was reduced to an E1 rank airman basic, which is the lowest rank possible. And in 2014, he received a bad conduct discharge, which does not prohibit the possession of firearms like a dishonorable discharge would. And now we know that Kelly used an AR assault rifle during this attack, which he did not have a license to carry. Here's what officials had to say about that. Let's take a listen.
We can confirm that the suspect did not have a license to carry. The suspect did have a non-commissioned, unarmed private security license similar to a security guard at a concert type situation. There were no disqualifiers entered into the National Crime Information Center database that would preclude him from receiving a private security license.
Now, although Kelly did not have a license to carry those firearms, officials said that he purchased 4 firearms total. 2 were bought in Colorado and 2 in Texas. Ashlee?
Trinity, many of us want to know, was there a motive behind this attack, and why did the shooter choose this church?
Now, authorities haven't officially described a motive here, but President Trump says that this is a result of a mental health problem. But we are learning from officials that there has been, quote, a domestic situation between the shooter and his mother-in-law, as Natasha said earlier, who attends this church. Now, according to officials, Kelly sent threatening text messages to his mother-in-law right before the massacre. And here's what official had to say about that at a press conference earlier today.
That there was a domestic situation going on within this family. The suspect's mother-in-law attended this church. We know that he had made threatening texts from him, and we can't go into details about that domestic situation that is continuing to be vetted and thoroughly investigated. But we want to get that out there that this was not racially motivated. It wasn't over religious beliefs.
Now, although his mother-in-law did attend church on Sundays, authorities are saying that she was not inside at the time of the shooting. Meanwhile, officials wouldn't detail what text messages were sent. But as you just heard, they are saying the shooting wasn't related to race or religion. And officials have previously said that Kelly had no apparent links to terrorism. Ashlee?
Trinity, thank you so much for updating us on the investigation. Trinity Chavez, RT correspondent in New York. David, now the Texas gunman Devin Kelly, he joins an ever-growing list of assaults on churches, but the motivation behind these assaults as a whole on a public gathering of religion and faith, it still remains unclear. But one thing that is clear is the ever-growing demand for protection in church. So David, where else have we seen these types of church attacks take place?
Yeah, Ashlee, while researching church shootings, it does reveal that this is not a new form of an attack and not one that's always motivated by race. The database does remain limited on national church shootings, and so does the analysis for motivation for an attacker. In many ways, a church does provide an opportunity for a lone gunman to attack in an innocent gathering. This is due to a lack of security, and a church service does include large gatherings at a specific time and location. And for those motivated by hate, a church service also presents an opportunity for media coverage that will hit the heart of many across a grieving nation. And looking at a timeline of some church shootings, you soon realize, Ashlee, that this is not a new form of attacks. In September of 2017, a 25-year-old Sudanese immigrant killed 1 and injured 7 in Nashville, Tennessee. June of 2015, 21-year-old Dylan Roof shot and killed 9 African Americans in Charleston, South Carolina. 48-year-old Jim Atkinson, reportedly motivated by hatred for homosexuals and liberals, killed 2 people and injured 8 in Knoxville, Tennessee. And 44-year-old Terry Ratzman in Wisconsin killed 7 in 2005 church shooting. And it dates all the way back to 1999, Ashlee, where in Fort Worth, Texas, Larry Gene Ashbrook attacked a youth rally carrying 200 rounds of ammunition and a pipe bomb that killed 6 people. And Ashlee, church shootings and the need for church security is now the new norm in America. This is a norm that's hitting the Bible Belt of America, and a nation created on the basis of religious freedom and escaping persecution. America now remains under attack.
Thank you so much for that, David Miller, RT correspondent in our DC newsroom.